I needed that.
There you go.
I'm down for that. I think that's
go.
cool. Well, Chris's podcast, I Needed That, co-hosted by Matthew Blades, is available on all streaming platforms, everybody.
Again, we're talking with Rachel from season 5 of my show.
We tend to do that a lot with a ton of things, is like try to pass on ownership.
You know, I'm a confident, badass woman. That's what I say to myself.
You just stopped feeling like you anymore. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and being like, who is this chick? I am MIA, and I need to get myself back.
All right, friends. Welcome to the I Needed That podcast. I'm Matthew Blades.
And I'm Chris Powell.
And we're back. We're reunited for the very first I Needed That podcast of 2024. Welcome to the new year, my friend.
Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year.
I didn't know if we'd make it, but we're here.
I know, here we are. We're still going, and we're going strong.
And
I know.
We have an unbelievable podcast to kick things off here in 2024. We're going to spend the next 45 minutes with a dude named Kevin. How did you meet Kevin?
Man, so okay, crazy story. Actually, I was at a dinner gala for the Hope Gives mental health, or a foundation is what they are, and it's a nonprofit to provide mental health therapy counseling for people that simply can't afford it. And I mean, they are backed up, and so I mean, it's like what they're doing is really incredible. And we're sitting at the same table and we spark up a conversation and we're talking back and forth. He starts telling me a little bit about his story, but also I didn't realize at the time he was the main speaker of the event as well.
Isn't that the
And
best?
so,
And you're always sitting with the keynoter.
Yes. And I'm like, dude, you're Kevin Hines. Oh my gosh. And it's the most incredible story of mental health, but for hope. And I'll tell you straight up, purpose and a higher power, a calling. This man is supposed to be here on earth. And when you hear his story, you will know why. It is absolutely moving. And I mean, within 10 minutes of the conversation, I was just thinking, brother, you need a platform and the world needs to know your story because it's beautiful. And I think, and his message can help millions of people who really, really need it. I don't want to give away too much, but this is just hang on to your seats because this is going to be an action-packed 40 minutes.
Okay. Well, we're going to welcome in Kevin here in just 1 second. I want to,
really quick. Hold on before we go any further. So I'm flipping through. I'm just browsing on my computer and everything. And I jump over to msn.com and I see an article with you in it as one of the top 16 podcasters to listen to.
Oh, look at this, huh?
Brother.
16 compelling podcasters you need to hear. And lo and behold, there I am.
Boom. Look at this.
Yeah, it's nice to get a little kiss like that when you're working your ass off.
I took a little screenshot and I sent it off to you. So thanks for throwing it on there. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks, dude.
Dude, I mean, well deserved. I mean, honestly, you are one of the most entertaining people to listen to. I mean, for years, you know, of course I listened to you on the radio and man, it's just, you're so good. You're so good.
We're so good, man.
Oh, we have fun. That's for sure.
I was going to say, heads up to this dude whose app, the Kept app, is out now. It's changing lives. It's transforming people. And I just encourage everybody to jump on that app store and download it. You're 2 weeks into it now. How are you feeling? I
feel great. People are actually starting to understand it. They get it. They get the fact that it's not about diet and exercise. If you focus on keeping your promises to yourself, everything else falls into place.
Okay.
So it's been awesome. And the feedback's been great. And honestly, this is the very first steps to completely revolutionizing the whole concept of weight loss and transformation. Cause it's, again, nothing to do with diet and exercise. Change, focus on your promises and everything else. Again, everything else will take care of itself.
So we'll find out what Kevin has to say about keeping promises. I want to bring him into the conversation right now. Look at him. He's got his Rock Noble hoodie on. How are you this morning, Kevin?
I'm doing well. Matthew, Chris, nice to see you. Thank you for having me. It means the world.
Oh, dude. Happy New Year to you. We're so glad you're the very first guest of 2024. What does that honor feel like?
It feels incredible. It's a blessing and a gift.
Bro, you made it here. You made it here. That's what really matters, man. It's so good to see you again. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, how's my hair? How's my hair?
It looks beautiful,
good.
man.
You got a little something out of place up there. Just a second.
I always tell people I'm having a bad hair life. That's what I'm having, a bad hair life. Some people have, like this guy, he can't relate to anything you and I are talking about, right? Because he's got perfect chiseled hair all the time. But yeah, for those of us who struggle in that department, it is certainly something. Man, let's listen. We got 40 minutes. I want to respect your time, and there's so many things we could talk about.
Yeah.
I want to know, what did you say on that stage that day that he met you at the gala? What words came out of your mouth that made people go, holy crap?
I think part of what I said, a couple things I'll say, is that I said that the millisecond my hands left the rail, it was an instantaneous regret for my actions and the absolute understanding that I just made the greatest mistake of my life and I thought it was too late. To give you context for listeners who don't know, in the year 2000, I leapt off the Golden Gate Bridge to try to take my life because of bipolar depression, the same brain disease both my biological parents had before me. I talked about my infancy, my traumatic infancy in foster care. I talked about my brother passing away. But I talked importantly about something, about how we have to, as human beings in today's day and age, find a way, old and young, to unsilence our pain, unburden ourselves, and tell the truth about our pain to one person willing to empathize, because a pain shared is a pain halved. A pain shared is a pain halved. And there's a school of thought among some people that say, keep your pain to yourself, that's your problem. I completely disagree with that school of thought. The more you keep your struggles, strife, pain, and battles to yourself, the more they will destroy you. They will burden you. They will bury you. And they can lead to terrible things. But if you unburden yourself and tell your truth to someone who cares, to someone who holds a piece of empathy for you in their hearts, and listens to understand, not to respond, you can change a life forever.
So take us back to that day, and you said it was the year 2000?
And if you wouldn't mind, just because I know a little bit of his backstory, could you take us a little bit further back and
Sure.
just and tell us what led to that moment, and then from that moment on, because, and you know, we're just going to sit back, and I think everyone just needs to hear this story. So please, Kevin, take it away, brother.
Well, let's go back to the very beginning, the time I was born. Born to beautiful biological parents, Marcia and Martino, who tragically, after they had me and my brother, 10 months apart, my older brother, they succumbed to substance use disorder, alcohol, and drugs. And we lived in abject poverty. We existed in and out of crack motels. We had nothing. We had no one. And in order for them to keep a roof over our heads, which you paid on the hour, by the hour in these crack motels, they had to go out and do score and sell drugs. That was our life. And one day, one very seedy motel clerk made what I call his most unseedy decision. He heard our screams and cries of such neglect one too many times, and he called the police and Child Protective Services. And they came in, and they barreled down the door, and they swooped my brother and I up, smelling sour and putrid of our own filth from that neglect. And they placed us directly into the foster care system, a broken system then, a broken system today. And we bounced around from home to home with one idea, that he and I were to be adopted together. But that's not what happened. We both got very sick in a foster home. We both got bronchitis, and he died. I immediately developed a severe detachment disorder from reality, and abandonment issues that follow me until today. And so when that happened, after my brother passed away, I ended up bouncing around to about 5 more homes. And I get into the home of Peter and Deborah Muller. Now, Peter was an Army man, often having to be restationed. Debbie was a housewife. They were a transitional home for kids, multiple kids in their home at the same time, boys and girls of all ages, pandemonium. But they were the first foster parents to ever properly take care of me. And they loved their foster children like they were their own. They just couldn't keep them for very long. And one fateful day, a lovely young woman named Deborah Joan Hines walked in their door. And you know my last name, so this works out. Spoiler alert. So Debbie Hines walks in the Muller's home, but she's not looking for a little boy. She's looking for a little girl to take home. Instead, she sees me with my then wavy auburn red curly hair. And she said that was the moment she fell in love. And she went back to Patrick Kevin Hines, my eventual namesake, and said, let's take the kid in. He needs us. And they took me in at 9 months of age. But there was a big problem. I was violently ill all day, every day for the next 30 days. And no doctor could tell Pat and Debbie what was wrong with their new-to-be son. Until one specialist came forward and said, Patrick, Deborah, there's nothing physically wrong with this child. It's all emotional, 9 months of age. But that wasn't the whole truth. My birth parents had been feeding us only what they could steal from birth. Kool-Aid, Coca-Cola, and sour milk was my first diet. So my gut health was ravaged. My brain health was destroyed with the gut-brain connection, which you know a lot about, Chris. And so that would affect me for the rest of my life. I have had gut issues my whole life. I've had struggles with food my whole life, and even lived in high school wrestling with severe eating disorders because it's part of the culture. And the coaches are oblivious and they're not doing it purposefully, but it's a very hard thing to do to cut weight that quickly. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But in infancy, with those struggles, I had $1 million workup on an infant pre-verbal. I couldn't even talk about the pain I was in. And when the doctors came back and couldn't figure it out, my mom knew, Debbie, she knew she had to just heal it with love. And the unconditional love, me, my brother, and my sister, who all came from different families into the Hines family. They adopted 3 kids from 3 separate homes into one, making this melting pot of a family. I'm of mixed background. I'm part Jamaican, Black, African, Arawak, Indian, Portuguese, Scottish, Irish, English, and Sephardic Jew, part Mexican and part Italian on my dad's side. My brother's Black, my sister's white, Pat and Debbie are Irish and German. And I always say that when people saw us walking down the street, they were confused, and they really were. We had situations where we'd be walking with my mom as kids, and women would like do this like semicircle around us, like some kind of lion pride, and they'd lean in, and they'd go like this. And they'd lean in closer in a very prejudicial tone. They'd say to my mom very bluntly, "Excuse me, miss, how did all of that happen?" To which my mom would look at them and very quickly reply, "Oh, you know, different fathers," which is amazing because it was true. But growing up in that household, you know, after my traumatic infancy, I thought, how can anything go sideways from here? I got a maid in the shade. I'll get that into that good school. I'll get that great job. I got this covered because I've been given what so many young Americans don't get to have, opportunity and a chance. Look at Jordash. Jordash had no chance. Jordash had no opportunity, my brother. But I did. And even though I had this great opportunity and this great chance to live a wonderful life, at 17, it all came crashing down. My brain broke. I had a complete mental breakdown in front of 1,200 people at my high school theater. I was performing in a theater show playing one of the leads. And I had a complete mental breakdown on stage, had to be taken home. They dedicated the rest of the shows to me and my family. And I would start my mental health journey. The problem was, guys, is that, Chris and Matthew, is that I didn't want to believe when they told me I had bipolar depression. I don't have this flaw. Nothing's wrong with me. I don't have to take pills. And then I started on this medication regimen, and it was a really tough road, filtering through the different medications and changing medications often and shifting focus and not owning up to what was going on. I was in complete and total denial, and that denial would last for the next 3 years. So from 2000 to 2003, I would be in 3 different psych wards. The first after my leap off the Golden Gate Bridge, after my physical recovery. And you have to understand that 99.9% of the people that have leapt off the Golden Gate Bridge are gone. They never again get to share their stories. 40 people in 87 years of that bridge being open have survived. 40 people. 26 of us remain alive today. Many have died of natural causes or old age. 19 of us have come forward like I did to say they all had the same instant regret that I had the moment their hands left the rail. Why? Because they recognized in that moment that their thoughts did not have to become their actions. They could simply have been their thoughts. That they didn't have to own, rule, or define what they did next. And that's the tool I teach people around the world as I travel and speak on every continent but Antarctica, hopefully someday soon, even though it'll be really cold. Everywhere I go around the world, translated into every language, when I share this story and help people understand that I am one of 5 Golden Gate Bridge survivors that can stand, walk, and run. I get to be here. And getting to be here is a privilege and a gift, no matter the pain you might be in. And people don't comprehend that they can always survive their pain no matter their struggle. And I think that what people don't recognize is that pain is inevitable. It's coming for all of us if it hasn't already. But suffering can be optional. It can be a choice. Now, I'm not talking about people that live in war-torn countries or people that have been terrorized or really victimized. I'm talking about the people that live with brain health disorders that instead of fighting their struggle, they choose to suffer in silence, and they choose to live in the pain, and they choose to be pitied and pity themselves. I was in that boat, so I know what I'm talking about. What I am trying to say is that you can fight your pain in spite of your pain, despite of your pain, to thrive today if you so believe in that possibility. Now, I was born in crack motels. I lived in abject poverty. I was fed Kool-Aid, Coca-Cola, and sour milk. My gut is broken. I leapt off the Golden Gate Bridge. I've been in 10 psych ward stays in the last 19 years, up till 2019 pre-pandemic. But I am here, and I am thriving, and I have hope every moment of every single day, no matter the pain I'm in. It's about perspective and perception. If you perceive yourself to be a victim or a sufferer, that is all you will ever be, even if you've been the victim or victimized, or if you've actually suffered. If you stay in that space for the rest of your days, you will never overcome your challenges. And I choose the latter, to fight, to thrive.
Wow. I got a question for you before, and this is one question before we go back to that day and when you can talk us through everything that happened. What's the first step someone could take if they're there and they've been victimized, they're traumatized, they're suffering? What would you recommend is the very first step? Because they say, I don't want to be in this place anymore.
Yeah.
All these terrible things that have happened to me. And I've heard Kevin talk about the fact that it's about my perspective, but how do I change that perspective? What does it mean?
Yeah. So a couple things. I think that a few things, actually. The first thing you need to do is change your self-talk. What we recite about ourselves, what we repeat about ourselves, that is what we will inherently believe about ourselves. Recite, repeat, believe. Think of what every major faith is built upon. Reciting a prayer chant, repeating a prayer chant, believing said prayer or chant. It's scientific. It changes your brain. If you recite and repeat negative, hateful, spiteful, hurtful, mean, rageful, horrible, angry things to yourself, what will you believe?
Yeah, but isn't it? Can I just jump in really quick and also say, but you're dealing with something like bipolar, where some of the thoughts aren't your own, and they or maybe they are, but they come in at inopportune times. What is directed at a person that may suffer that way?
Yeah, so I'm talking about myself as well. I've lived with all of those thoughts. I've lived with all those experiences. I had to train my brain to shift my focus. That doesn't mean I still don't go back to that self-loathing. Sure. That doesn't mean I don't have the voices in my head of auditory hallucinations that make me struggle. That doesn't mean I don't have suicidal thoughts, which I still have. I just choose, and I've taught myself, and this can be learned, to recite and repeat hopeful, meaningful, kind, compassionate, giving, and generous messages to myself with grace and with forgiveness. And when you do that over a long period of time, and you choose to make that decision one day at a time, every day, for months at a time, and then end up being years, you end up looking in the mirror, and that self-hatred, that self-loathing that has clogged your brain, and those voices in your head, they dissipate. They may not go away entirely, but they dissipate. And then you have the ability to control your next outcome. And so it's not simple by any means, but it is necessary for change. If you read the book, Conquer Your Critical Inner Voice by Dr. Lisa and Robert Firestone, two friends of mine, you will learn how to conquer that negative thought process. But here's the issue. Your hateful, spiteful, rageful thoughts about yourself don't come from you. You weren't born inherently to hurt yourself like that. That was taught or learned. Somebody hurt you enough with their words or their actions, whether it's bullying at school, which I experienced heavily, or abuse at home or neglect, whatever the issue is, somebody instilled that in you, and that became your self-talk through somebody else. And so to reverse that, you have to A, acknowledge it, then B, take action every single day to reverse those negative patterns. And it's not simple, but it is plausible and possible with hard work.
Wow.
So good.
We were just talking. So it's funny, Kevin, because Matthew and I were just talking about this before he jumped on. And because he was saying that he finds himself in this place of anxiety and everything. And he'll do something where when he's starting to go there, he'll clap as a way to just kind of wake himself up and get him out of that. That's it. To get him out of that automatic program that keeps trying to run. Do you do something similar?
It's what Dr. Daniel Amen talks about. ANTS, A-N-T-S, automatic negative thoughts. If we allow the ants in our life to thrive, we will succumb to it. We will be desperate. We will live in despair, and we will be destroyed. But if we reverse those ants, and it's not about positive thinking, but I don't really believe in positive thinking. I believe in changing your thought process over time through hard work. And so two of the things I do every day, because I still live with chronic thoughts of suicide, they plague me. They will never, ever take me. Because one, I say my thoughts don't have, I find a mirror anywhere. I say my thoughts don't have to become my actions. They can simply be my thoughts. They don't have to own, rule, or define what I do next, period. The next thing I do is I turn to anyone willing to listen. And Matthew and Chris, if you were the only people here, which you are right now, as I sit in this hallway at this hotel, if you were the only people here, I would tell you, I would say 4 simple but very effective words. I need help now.
Yes.
And Chris and Matthew, what would you do?
Help you.
What can I do to help you?
Everything you can. You would move heaven and earth to keep me safe.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have to recognize not everybody has a support network. Not everybody has friends they can turn to, but you can inverse it to yourself to become your own best advocate. And you can recognize that if I talk to anyone in front of me and say, I need help now, I will not stop saying I need help now until somebody is willing to help me. And by the sheer probability of the number of people you turn to, someone will be willing to answer the call. How do I know that? For 23 years, with thousands upon thousands of suicidal ideations, I have stayed right here.
I love it.
It's so powerful. Somebody told me 10 years ago that the 3 most powerful words in the English language are I need help. And almost nobody, unless they're just a monster, would not stop to offer some sort of assistance in whatever's going on. So I think that's such a brilliant thing to throw out there and keep reminding people. But and here is the thing that I hope that you have to latch on to, which is Kevin has to choose to articulate that thought. That's something that's on him. He has to be willing to go, I need help now.
Yeah. And that's the hard part for people to do, but it's not impossible. It takes practice. And I was there. I lived in the silence for so long. And it led me to almost lose my life and almost leave my family forever. Do you know what my dad said when he came to the hospital? He said, Kevin, if you would have died, I would have died. Now I sit here and I think about the 17 people I've lost to suicide, including 2 of my immediate birth family members. I think there's 17 people I've lost to suicide in my life. And I cannot go back and change time. I can't do anything about it. but I can fight for the rest of my life until I'm no longer physically capable to give back to this world through podcasts, through articles, through media, through presentations, through keynotes, through books, through movies. I can work toward creating an ecosystem around me that makes me the person that people now call. That people who love me, who have friends who are suicidal, they call me all the time. People who I went and spoke for, who want their son or daughter to talk to someone with inspiration, they call me. And it's a heavy burden to carry. And it sometimes weighs me down. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I have been a part of, I have had in 23 years of doing this work, I have had hundreds of thousands of people write to me and say this story saved their life.
Yes.
Now, I don't own that. I'm no lifesaver. I'm a conduit. I'm a messenger. I give a message. They go home. They do the work. They save and change their own life. They're the ones that went and told their parents that they were suicidal. They're the ones that went to go to their doctors instead of having this pain. They're the ones that go and tell their peers, I need help now. And when they did that, they got the help they needed, and they're alive today. And that's an incredible, beautiful thing. But I will say this, I am a messenger, and I know where the message comes from. On the day I left off the Golden Gate Bridge, a sea lion came to me, aided me to the surface of the water, and kept me afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind me. A sea lion was the only animal to help me that day. Not a human being, a creature that didn't even speak my language, kept me to the surface until the Coast Guard boat arrived, allowing me the ability to sit here and have this conversation with you guys.
Hold on a second. Yeah, go ahead. And then I have a question.
I was going to say, Kevin, I would love if you could just walk us through moment by moment from the time you're on the bus going to the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, the series of miracles that happened that happened the moment your hand left the rail. It's just mind blowing. Yeah. Could you just take 10 or 15 minutes and I know I want to be respectful of your time, but just walk us through that for Matthew, for our listeners, because it's so insanely powerful. Could you do that for us?
On the bus, in the back seat, in the middle row, crying profusely, yelling aloud at the voices I was hearing in my head. I don't want to die. Leave me alone. What did I do to you? Why do you hate me so much? I'm a good person. 100 people looking down the barrel of the bus at me, but saying nothing. One man to my left points at me and says to the guy next to him, what the hell's wrong with that kid laughing at my pain? Apathy. There are apathetic people in the world. Tragically now more than ever. And the bus got to the Golden Gate Bridge parking lot. And I sat there hoping, wishing, and praying the driver would see my pain and say something kind and compassionate. Instead, he stood, he turned, and he said, come on, kid, get off the bus. I got to go. I walked up to him, waterfalls flowing from my eyes, hoping he would see my pain. Instead, he just said, motion for me to get off the bus. I walked down those 2 steps that felt like 2,000. I walked across the 2-mile stretch of walkway that is the ninth wonder of the world, the Golden Gate Bridge, crying like a baby. Bikers, joggers, runners, tourists, patrol officers searching for suicidal people went by me twice. And I found a particular light rail after 40 minutes. A woman approached me, asked me to take her picture several times. I did so. She walked away. I said to myself, the greatest lie I've ever told. Absolutely no one cares. No one. The furthest thing from the truth, everybody cared. Every member of my family, every one of my friends, my acquaintances would have been there to tear me from that rail of safety to show me just how much they cared. My brain wasn't allowing me to care. She walked away. I said, no one cares. The auditory hallucination in my head said, jump now, and I did. I catapulted my hands over the rail. Millisecond of free fall, instant regret. What have I just done? I don't want to die. God, please save me, are the words I felt in my head as I fell to the waters below. 4-second fall. Hit the water at 15,000 pounds of pressure. Most people die upon impact. Most people's internal organs implode. I went down 40 to 50 feet, opened my eyes. I was drowning. I couldn't get back to the surface. I swam as fast as my arms would take me. I couldn't feel my legs. I had shattered my T12, L1, L2 lower vertebrae into shards. I had sprained my right ankle. I get to the surface. I bob up and down in the water, and I did the one thing I have had control over since kindergarten. I prayed. God, please save me. I don't want to die. God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake. On repeat, and he heard me. A woman driving by in a red car at the moment of my attempt saw me go over the rail, called her friend from the Coast Guard who happened to be manning the waters that day. And that's how they got to me in time before I would set in hypothermia and drown. Before the Coast Guard boat arrived, I was drowning. I kept going down in the water. I couldn't get back to the surface. Something began circling beneath me. I thought it was a shark. I was panicking, punching it. It wouldn't go away. This creature circled beneath me, bumping me up. I was no longer wading or treading in the water. I'm lying on top of my back, being kept buoyant by this creature, thinking, well, this is one heck of a nice shark. Turns out it was, in fact, a sea lion. Witnesses later on recounted that to the Coast Guard office when they gave their testimony of what happened. One man's letter got to me after a TV show interview I did. This man named Morgan wrote to me. I'll never forget it. He said, Kevin, I'm so very glad you're alive. I was standing less than 2 feet away from you when you jumped. Until this day, watching this show, no one would tell me whether you lived or died. It's haunted me until right now. By the way, Kevin, there was no shark, like you mentioned you thought there was on the show, but there absolutely was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed to be keeping your body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. Now you can call that whatever you want, but those are my miracles, and I get to be here. And I think appreciating what I want to impart on people, especially people in a great amount of lethal emotional pain, for whatever reason, trauma, abuse, neglect, domestic disputes, whatever the issue is. If you choose to believe you can survive your pain, then you always will. If you choose. If you believe that you are grateful for this existence, we have a 1 in 4 trillionth of a chance to be birthed into this world. 1 in 400 trillionth of a chance to simply exist. We were never meant to die by our hands. We were meant to thrive despite the pain. That can be taught, that can be learned, and I'm teaching it around the world.
So what I'm thinking about right now is how many of us have been lucky enough to have a sea lion, to be metaphorical here, in our lives that has kept us afloat and kept us going until somebody else could show up and really truly rescue us and take us out of the water, so to speak. I mean, there's so many parallels to your story in people's lives and the amount of pain that people are in, and all of the folks that are thinking about taking their own lives. And it's to me, it's this incredible opportunity to sit here and do something you talk a lot about, Chris, which is to practice gratitude. How many people have been in your life supporting you, have been keeping you afloat?
Yeah.
I mean, today's a great opportunity to be thankful for the sea lions in your life.
Yeah. To hold gratitude inside your pain, I think is one of the greatest gifts of this life. We're all going to experience pain, but if you can hold gratitude inside it, you can survive it because you understand that there's a purpose to the pain, and that maybe you went through something like that so that you could help somebody else who's going through it now.
We say it all the time.
That's it.
We say it all the time on this podcast. The only reason you went through this crap is so that you can help somebody else when it's their turn.
There's no doubt.
We have a sole and singular purpose on this planet. And that purpose is to give back to those we know, those we love, those we don't know from Adam, and yes, those we don't even like. What we are not meant to do on earth is hurt or damage each other with our words or our actions. And if more people understood that, we'd have a better world.
1,000%. Yes.
Do you feel, one of the things I'm thinking about, Kevin, and I wonder is, Has the fact that you were saved and all these miracles took place, has that ever sort of weighed on you? And have you ever had these moments where you're like, man, why did there have to be the sea lion, or why did the Coast Guard, or why this? Has that ever felt heavy on you that, you know, all these things came together to keep you around? Or is that just the answer to the prayer and that's the end of the story?
It never felt heavy. I felt so thankful and so appreciative and so grateful that of all the people that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge in the last 100 years, I'm here.
Yeah.
Every day is a blessing. Every day is a gift, no matter how much pain I'm in. And guys, I'm in a lot of physical pain from what I did. You know, it's hard to even work out anymore because the pain has gotten so bad. And, you know, I'm okay with that. I need no pity. I did that to myself, and I have to take responsibility for my actions. And the other thing is, I'm glad I have to feel the pain because it reminds me that I'm alive, that I'm here. What I will say is this: I'm very sad and very broken for all the families and loved ones I know who lost their loved ones to the Golden Gate Bridge and to suicide in general. Because they look at me and they go, "Why did you get to live and my son died?" You know, and I'll tell you this: we have fought. My father founded the Bridge Rail Foundation with Paul Muller and Dave Hall. Founding board members Dana Whitmer and Ken Holmes, the former Marine Coroner. We founded the Bridge Rail Foundation. I was a founding board member, and we fought for the last 23 years to raise a net at the Golden Gate Bridge to stop the suicides there.
Yeah,
that net is being completed by the end of this month, maybe even in a few days. And as of that day, very few people will ever again die off the Golden Gate Bridge, if any. And you know, people keep saying, "Oh, you know, that costs so much money. It costs more than the bridge would have been to make. Why would you spend that much money on that? Why don't you put the money toward mental health?" These were highway and transportation funds that we fought for. You didn't fight for them. Why are you bitching about the money? It's not up to you. We fought for those funds for 20 years. We got them. Here they are. We're going to put this to stopping a public health crisis of our time.
Absolutely.
And when you reduce access to lethal means, you save lives. Reduction of access to lethal means is one of the only empirically proven ways to stop suicides.
And if I'm not mistaken, you would know more than I would, Kevin, but there for 50 years or more, people have been fighting to get a net on the Golden Gate Bridge, and they have fought it tooth and nail because of the aesthetics, the cost, all of the things.
Everything. The fight actually started. The fight actually started 6 months after the first suicide, in 1937, when the bridge was opened.
Right.
Wow.
I've heard this story before.
The bridge patrol of that era fought to raise the rail. It failed. 6 fights after that, so 7 fights total, failed. The 8th fight, which was founded by my dad, because of what I did, was successful. And we didn't give up. And that just goes to show you a small group of like-minded people can come together and achieve a goal if they so believe in themselves and if they never give up and never give in. We were tormented by the Bridge District Authority, who owns and runs the bridge. They were apathetic to our cause, a lot of them, not all of them. They eventually turned to our side. It took a long time and a long effort, 23 years of action. And, you know, I'm just so grateful that they finally came to their senses and that they're doing the right thing. But let's be honest, they're not doing it out of the kindness of their own heart. They're doing it because we forced their hand. But that's for another day. We're making a film right now called The Net about the 90-year story of raising the net at the Golden Gate Bridge and the 90-year effort of people to fight to stop suicides there and the fact that we're almost there.
Wow. Good on you and your team for never giving up, for being consistent with that. And think about the thousands of lives it's going to save over the next 100 years. I mean, it's incredible, man. Like, seriously, you are doing, like, the work that you're doing is, you know, this is so much bigger than you. And it's incredible the impact that you're making in the world and the lives that you're saving. It's truly incredible, Kevin. Man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
What?
So
Go ahead. No. You.
So how, and I know, like, your message and you've had the opportunity. I mean, you've got a book, a movie coming out now, podcasts, everything. Real quick, where can people find your book as well?
Yeah, so really, really easy. Just go to my Instagram channel, at Kevin Hines Story. It's right there on the screen. At Kevin Hines Story. Go to the link in bio. All of my resources are right there for everyone. My books, my documentary, it's all right there. Take it, it's yours, and utilize it. There's a YouTube channel I have, youtube.com/Kevin Hines, 800 plus videos, all designed to better your brain health and change your life. People write in from all over the world saying these videos saved my life. Let these videos affect you in a positive way and change your perspective.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, the question that I wanted to ask is there's often a big gap between that first suicidal ideation and thought to the actual moment where people want to go there. And so I really want to take this opportunity with you, Kevin, to talk to those folks who are just starting to have those ideations.
Okay.
And that thought of like, well, maybe this world will be better without me.
Mhm.
Those are thoughts that are starting to infiltrate their mind right now, and their thoughts that they're having.
Yeah.
What's a good thing for that particular group of people to hear who are in the infancy stages of starting to flirt with that idea?
Okay, let me be abundantly clear right now.
Yes.
Suicidal ideations are the greatest liars you know. You don't have to listen to them. Suicide is not the solution to your problem. It is the problem. Finally, suicide does not take the pain away. It only makes it impossible for things to ever get better. Hard work, energy, time, effort equals hope, healing, and recovery. You can do this. I believe in you. We believe in you. Keep going. Please stay. Be here tomorrow. We need you.
Those are words to live by. That's for sure. Hey, Kevin, what does your continued mental health journey look like now? Do you see a therapist on a regular basis?
I haven't seen a therapist in a while because my therapist is now my wife. So I tell.
Oh, hold on. How did that happen?
That's a way to get the rate down.
Yeah, it's half price.
There's another story here to be told. Hold on.
No. I tell my wife everything, and we get through everything together, and it's wonderful. She's my best friend in my rock. I met her in my third psych ward stay. She was visiting her cousin who was there for drug use. I was obviously a patient. It was love at first sight for me. It took her a while, but we're now 20 years together, 17 years married, going on 18 coming up, and it's been amazing. But I'll tell you, I forgot the question.
What is your mental health journey looking like right now?
Yeah.
Yes. So I exercise most days for 23 minutes a day because 23 minutes of exercise leads to 12 hours of better mood, better brain health. I eat anti-inflammatory foods as much as I can. Not every day, not all the time, but as much as I can. I educate myself. I read every Google alert on bipolar depression, suicide prevention, mental health, and wellness in the workplace. I get those Google alerts. I digest them every Friday or every 2 Fridays, and I take that knowledge in, and whatever new, reputable, powerful treatments for bipolar depression, I opt them into my mental health emergency plan. So I have this huge mental health emergency plan. It's about a 10-step plan and a regimen and routine that I follow to the best of my ability. I sometimes fall off a little bit. I'm not perfect on it. I'm not 100% disciplined. I'm working on getting back there. And I will tell you that the more disciplined I am with my regimen and routine, the better I am. And I'll tell you this, people don't understand that live with diagnosed mental health issues and brain health issues is that the more regimen and routine your lifestyle, the better off you're going to feel mentally. It's just about keeping everything within a time schedule. And you can break it up between wake up between these 2 hours in the morning, go to bed between these 2 hours at night. It doesn't have to be a finite time period. It can be a 2-hour window that you do everything in your life and you batch your work and you have your meals and your snacks at the same time. And you have your therapy if you're having that at the same time. You have your work meetings at the same time. You basically routine your life and cut out all the regretful things. If you regret the drunk night you had the night before, it's time to get that out of your life. Wes Watson said that the best. He said, if there's any regrets you have in your life, delete them from your existence, however hard that might be, because they're just going to make it's just that progress is just going to make your life so much better.
Yes, absolutely.
Man, Kevin, thank
Yeah.
you so much for just your story and your words today. It is not very often. I've been interviewing people for almost 30 years, and it is so rare that somebody renders me speechless. And today I really just found myself in a place of listening and wanting to understand and know more. And that part's on you, man. So we really appreciate you and your time.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
That means
dude.
the world. You have no idea. That means the world. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, brother.
all
Thank
right.
you.
Listen, and go. What now? Like, what is Kevin's day? What does the rest of Kevin's Monday look like?
The rest of the day is I'm here in LA. I'm going to head out to Orange County to go be on another podcast.
Good.
A really great one, the Hopeaholics podcast. I'm really excited about. And then I'm meeting my wife for a business meeting with our business partners.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Tell her I said hello.
I promise I will. You bet.
Awesome.
All right,
brother.
man.
And then I'm going to come to Arizona to see you two, and we'll break some bread.
We'll
Let's
break
go.
bread. Let's do more than that.
We'll break some gluten-free bread. All right.
Yeah, there you go. And we'll work out for 23 minutes.
I will
You
work-
had
that's
me
the
at
deal.
workout for 23 minutes.
I got to catch
love
up
it.
to you, Chris. All right. I'll see you
I
guys.
love it.
All right. Have a
Take
great
care,
day,
my
man.
friend.
Peace and love. Wow. 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 Wow.
Brother.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Brother. Right? I mean, I'm the moment he started talking, I just thought, oh man, everybody needs to hear this. Yeah, I mean,
I don't even know what's happening in my own head right now.
right?
Yeah, like I think almost me and almost everybody listening is going to have to take 20 or 30 minutes after listening to this podcast. And we need time to process what we just experienced.
For sure. And I'm actually going to go back into all of the different points that he gave, because the thing is, he gave incredible tactics, but it was so automatic because he's ingrained that in his mind. You can tell he practices this every single day of like how to identify those negative thoughts and what to turn them into. I forgot all the points that he said, but I need to go back through and just make notes and just write them up on a board so I can identify like those automatic negative thoughts and then turn them into what they need to be. I mean, but he did that several different times. There were probably 5 or 6 like real actionable takeaways that I need to go back through and actually write them down.
For me, it's something that I come back to a lot. It's so dangerous to compare our experiences. It's so dangerous, but there might be some value in offering ourselves perspective. And when you hear a story like, I grew up in a crack motel, my gut's broken, my brother, who I hoped I would be adopted into a new family with, died.
Right.
Like how can any rational human being not take a step back from that and go, okay, let me examine my own life. All right, like what was my experience like growing up? Well, shit, it wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
It was hard, and I had my own set of dings and experiences, but my God, it was nothing like what he just described.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and then now you have some perspective.
For sure. And then, he talks about his suicidal ideations then, and you go back to what that upbringing must have been like. And so he starts playing that story, and I'll be totally transparent here. You put yourself in that position, you go, well, I can understand that. I can understand.
For sure you can.
He's living from foster home to foster home. So it's, I mean, what kid wouldn't play that program? Nobody loves me.
Right.
I'm not lovable.
The abandonment stuff,
I'm not
right.
good enough. Neglect and abandonment and all these different things. And it's just like, how could you not start to wear that as an identity? And for him to then obviously take the most drastic, what he thought was a solution, which is not the solution at all. In fact, it only makes things worse, and you'll never solve the problem. Things can't get better when you do that. But for him to turn it all around after that, and now to share this message, it's powerful.
I'm speechless.
Beyond powerful.
I'm not joking, man. I literally don't know what to say or how to wrap this other than to say we all just were invited to be a part of something incredibly special, and we got to hear insane words of wisdom.
Yeah.
And we have no choice but to be better after this moment.
I think I couldn't have said it better.
Right.
And now the thing is, there is so much information, valuable information that we can apply to all of our lives. It's on us to do something about it. And we can. and we can do something about it. And so if you, by the way, if you are struggling, first of all, I am going to beg you to reach out to the suicide hotline.
I need help now.
I need help now. Reach out. He talked to reach out to someone who can empathize, talk to somebody. And also, please reach out to the suicide hotline. It's there for you. So if you're there and you've been having these thoughts for quite some time, please, like we need you here.
I had a military guy put it to me better than anybody's ever put it to me, which he said, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Absolutely. And he said,
literally,
if you do it, things can't get better.
It's impossible for him.
It's impossible. And if you stay here, you can make them better. And look how he's turned his life around. Heck, he met his wife. She was his therapist. And he's living his best life now. Not to say he doesn't have his struggles. He talked about that. But he's living his best life now. Which is, and you can too, if you're in that really dark place, things can get better. Whatever that voice is telling you, it's not the truth. It's not the truth. You got to do something about it. Reach out, please.
I'm asking everybody, here we go. It's January 1st, 2024. And if you're in a dark place, I want you to do what he suggested today, which he's got like a little, did you hear him at the end there? He's got a little 10-step program that he puts into practice. He's written it down. He's rehearsed it. Anytime the thoughts go to a place that he doesn't like him, he institutes this plan. And so if you're in that place, today is the day where as soon as you're done listening to this podcast, I want you to take 15, 20 minutes, digest, and then write down that plan so you have actionable steps moving forward. How's that sound?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Or share. And also, please, if you have a friend who's in a really dark place, share this
podcast.
They need to hear Kevin's story. They need, because it's truth. You can feel it in your heart of hearts. It's the truth.